gospel reading, through example, Jesus is going to offer to all of us a little piece of advice. Now, hopefully, we listen to this advice, follow the advice, hear the advice, adhere to the advice, subscribe to the advice, because when we follow the advice of Jesus, we can keep ourselves out of a whole lot of trouble, a whole lot of hot water. Now, let's take a look at verse 35 of the 10th chapter of Mark and see what it says. It starts off by saying, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. Now, James and John are two of the original hand-picked 12 disciples of Jesus. But when you look at what they say, Jesus, we want you to do whatever you ask of us, to me that does not sound like a request. That sounds like a command. They don't softly say to Jesus, we would appreciate it, we would like if you do something for us, but they simply say, we want you to do whatever we ask of you. So at that point, Jesus is kind of pushed into a corner. What is he going to do? Now he wants James and John to like him. So Jesus could quickly say, sure, fellas, I'll do it. What do you want? But Jesus realized how important it is to always do one thing before you speak. What should you do before you speak? Think. Exactly right. This right here. Think before you speak. That's what Jesus Christ does. He doesn't say to the guys, sure, yes, I'll do whatever you want. You know, I think to myself in my life, and this is probably true for you, how many times in my life, if I just thought before I spoke, if I just put some thought and effort into what was being asked and then respond, I could have really kept myself out of a whole lot of jams. To say something, yes, to a request, and then I find out that I'm doing something else that same day. Now, how do I double back and undo what I just said because I didn't think before I spoke? Now, what we want to do is take a look at the answer that Jesus Christ gives to this command. So now what we're going to do is look at verse 35, what we just did, and then that'll lead us into the response of Jesus, verse 36. So let's take a look at these two verses. Again, 35 we covered, but that's going to be the foundation for the response of Jesus. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. Now, verse 36 is the reply Jesus gives. What you wish me to do for you. That is powerful. He doesn't say sure, yes, anything you want. What is it? Tell me what you want me to do for you. Let me learn what you want me to do for you, and then I'll figure out whether or not I can or not. Now, that was good thinking on the part of Jesus, because what they asked is something that Jesus could not do. Let's take a look at verse 37 to 40. Now, this is the response, and this is what they say to Jesus. Because they asked Jesus, when you come into your kingdom, we want to sit one at your left and one at your right. And this is what Jesus said to them. You do not know what you're asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? They said to him, we can. Jesus said to them, the cup that I drink, you will drink. And with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or sit at my left is not mine to give. Jesus had to sit back with a big smile on his face and say, I'm glad I didn't commit. I'm glad I didn't say, yes, fellas, what is it that you want? They say, we want you to do whatever we ask of you. And Jesus stopped and he thought and he said, well, what is it? Tell me what it is first before I commit. How important it is in life to think before you speak. Because when we don't, we wind up usually putting our foot in our mouth, saying something that is embarrassing. It's a small message, but it sure is powerful. Let's watch this little verbal video that really highlights and emphasizes what this gospel is trying to teach us.
Once there lived a blind man in a small town. He always carried a lighted lamp in his hand whenever he went out at night. On one dark night, he was going with his lighted lamp in his hand. A group of men were passing that way. They saw the blind man and made fun of him. They said, "Oh, blind man, why do you carry the lighted lamp? You are blind and cannot see anything." The blind man politely said, "This lamp is not for me, but for you people who have eyes. You may not see a blind man coming and push him." They felt ashamed and begged pardon. Moral: think twice before you speak.
That's a simple little video, but it carries a powerful message. And it's probably a good idea not only to think before you speak, but to think twice before you speak. That's kind of doing a little bit extra. But just think back in your life. How many times have you said something to someone and then you realized how wrong you were because you didn't put any thought into what you had to say? When these disciples, James and John, who Jesus wanted to make sure they were his buddies, say, "We want you to do whatever you ask of us." Before Jesus said yes, he said, "Tell me what it is." The message of the gospel reading, hopefully, is one you listen to, one you live, one you adhere to, and one you follow from this day forward. The message is pretty simple. Think before you speak.